All right. Well, hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for joining us today on a beautiful day here in IADT. My name is Rebecca Roper. I am the head of teaching and learning, and it is my privilege to welcome you all to this FYMMO event that is all about roadmaps from IADT. And tonight we have an amazing alumni panel. So I would introduce you to one of my colleagues and one of our graduates as well, Louisa Keogh, who is the coordinator for FYMMO this year. And I'll be in the background. I'll be on chat. So if any questions come in, you can pop them into the chat, and I'll be up there to answer them or to refer them to our amazing panel this evening. I'm looking forward to it. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Yes, so thank you for that very kind introduction. Yeah, my name is Louise Keogh and I am the coordinator for the Final Year Mars Moving On programme this year. And we are so lucky in IDT to have such a great cohort of alumni. And we've been even luckier to get a small handful of those alumni this evening to chat about their journeys and since they finished their studies. We've got a broad range of our graduates here this evening. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to introduce our grads, and then hopefully we can get started then with no further technical difficulties. So we have Laura Murphy, who is a 2020 graduate of English Media and Cultural Studies. We have Scott Carey, who is a creative computing graduate from 2022. We have Jack Quinn and Adam Rail, who are both film and TV graduates from 2016. And we have Catherine Michael, who's a design for film and costume graduate from 2023. And we have Will Rock, who is an English Media and Cultural Studies graduate from 2016. So thank you all so much for joining us this evening, folks. So yeah, I might just kick off our panel with the question, and really just tell us about your journey. What have you been getting up to since you finished an IDT, and what brought you from there to now? What's that journey looked like? So I might just go by how you appear on screen, if that's okay. So my give kind of primary school vibes for a second, but Jack, if you'd like to kick us off there.
Oh, mine is a very weird one, so this is going to be a very strange one. So yeah, I actually got horribly depressed after college, and I had a huge mental health journey that took a good 3 years or so. I then became a cook. I then became a mental health support group facilitator. And then I was like, oh, maybe film actually was the thing I wanted to do. And then from there, I got back into film and I started working with Adam. And then from there, I started doing like visual effects. I'd always been interested in that, but it was very kind of like I have to start all over again after my entire journey. And then I got a job. Well, then Adam and I started our company, Cassette Vision, and then from there I got a job as the visual effects editor for Nolly Netflix series and the newest season of Doctor Who, and now Adam and I are just expanding our company and yeah, doing our thing. So yeah, weird
That's
journey.
great. That's great. You've definitely been busy, a windy journey, which has led to great things, I'm sure. Thank you so much, Jack. Scott, would you like to tell us what you've been up to?
Yeah, mine's been kind of an interesting one as well. So finished up grad year and I didn't really know where to go for the first while. I kind of was very comfortable in the position that I was in. Like I had a stable job, I was working the hours, whatever hours I wanted. So I was very, very comfortable and set in my ways. And a year went by with no kind of movement at all, and then one day decided to kick myself and say, no, I need to actually take some moves here. So one of the things that I actually did, I reached out to Dawn O'Connor from IADT, and she helped me out getting up to speed. Like I had been consistently kind of trying to apply for jobs, on the back burner. Oh, I'll apply to this job, I'll apply to that job and see how things go. But no one was taking me on. And one of the things that kind of resonated with me, like that kind of was in my mindset, was I just need someone to take a chance on me. And like there's always going to be that one person that does take a chance on you, but it can just genuinely take time, and it took a fair bit of time for me. So I kind of over time eventually kind of built a bigger picture of what I needed to, or what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to kind of aspire towards. What that actually was I wanted to live in Germany. So I set my sights on the German ski side of things and started applying there. I got nothing again. I was getting nowhere with jobs, and then started losing faith at one point. And then one day, I think it was like a week before I was meant to meet with Don again, and I got a message, "Hey Scott, are you around?" And then it just took off from there. So right now, what I'm at, I'm working at a fintech startup based in Germany, fully remote, living the best life.
That is brilliant. That is such a journey and such a coup for our fabulous careers officer, Jonathan, who was actually in the audience this evening. So that's brilliant, Scott. Wow, that's amazing. Will, if you'd like to chat about what you've been up to, that'd be great.
Hi guys. Yeah, I suppose my journey was kind of a topsy-turvy one in lots of ways. I think perhaps my college partying kind of took center stage for a year or two after I left IADT, and ultimately that partying didn't become very fun anymore, and I ran into some difficulties and trouble with drugs and alcohol, and that quite kind of left me quite perplexed in lots of ways. In terms of career path, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to work with people. I wanted to work in some sort of communications role, but again, had no idea where to start. I do remember getting an email from a man, I cannot remember his name for the life of me, in IADT, and he'd set me on a list of internships that were live, basically, and I threw my hat in, not really expecting to get anything back, and I ended up getting the internship in a very kind of small boutique creative agency in the city centre, and I started off there as an intern, and yeah, I think it's a small company, and the guy who was above me, kind of head of content, there wasn't really anyone in between. He ended up leaving, which meant this intern became head of content. So I was definitely out of my depth, kind of learning how to swim in all elements and all aspects of my life. But yeah, that went quite well, and kind of progressed, and was working on lots of advertising campaigns for global brands and things like that. And then kind of made my way up to business director in that creative agency. And up until last year, I had stepped away from that and started my own creative production agency called 7 Yellow. And that is where I'm at now. And I no longer struggle with alcohol or drugs either, by the way.
That's amazing. Wow, that's such a journey. Thank you so much, Will. I have so many things like buzzing in my brain, so we'll definitely touch back on all of these topics. That's great. Thank you. Catherine, what have you been up to?
I love the honesty of everyone, because so when I it's because, and I think when the day just before my graduation show, I was offered to do costume designing for the Dublin Youth Theatre, and I just took the chance because Alan Farquhar, who does set, he teaches set here for design for stage and screen and film. He asked me would I do it, and I pretty much was like yes. So even though I was knackered and I really felt like I needed a break and a holiday, but I was like, this is brilliant. This is a brilliant opportunity to actually use the skills that I've been trained in. So did that. I nearly had a nervous breakdown actually doing that. It was so intense. It made me go, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but it just made me go, that shit anyway, because it was anyway. But it was brilliant experience, right? So, and then after that, I had a tiny break. Actually, my sister just sent me on holidays. She was like, "You're going, you're leaving." So I took a break because I'd been pretty much in the college 24, like as much as possible. I was always here in the evening, in the morning, so then I then did some. There was a lull period, and then because somebody got COVID on a film, I happened to do standby for a German series, a murder series, which again has been filmed again this year. So that was fantastic. I got to work with a fantastic group of people, right bang into the working as costume with the crew. Brilliant. And then full. And then January I got the blues and I was like so depressed. And I came into the college here, and I do have to say Dawn was brilliant, because she was always, you could go for this, what about this? And so I came in and chatted to one of the tutors, and I was like, I'm just really down. And I decided to do a boot camp, which is offered to students here. I decided to do a business boot camp because I just thought I have to do something. So I missed most of those classes, and I went to one, and I'm really glad I went to that one, because that one I'll try and just get faster at talking. So I came up with an idea of something that I'm creating at the moment, and it's now forming. So I'm creating a ballet at the moment, and I'm gathering a group of people. I'm not a dancer, but I've gone more into the mode of creative direction. So, which is again, it's a slightly out of my comfort zone, but it is a calling for within me. And I then also got offered a job here part-time as costume, to help with costume technical, and now I'm costume. I help with costume here part-time, which is fantastic, because I love being in the college, and I love the vibrancy and all the newness. And I'm working on my own thing at the moment, and so that's my.
That's
I'll shut
amazing.
up now.
Not at all. Thank you so much. And I have to agree. I really appreciate everyone's kind of frank and honesty with us this evening. I think it's such an important element to cover on discussions like this, especially for students watching today and in the future on the recording. So I really commend you for your honesty. And I'm so sorry. I just want to introduce our latecomer due to technological difficulties. We've been having trouble with Teams all week. Olivia Wynne has joined us on our panel. Olivia is a 2023 graduate of applied psychology. So I'm so sorry you had trouble coming along this evening. We all kind of had our difficulties, but thank you so much, Olivia, for joining us. But just in order of my screen, I might go to yourself, Laura, for what you've been up to since finishing up.
Hello, everybody. I'm Laura. I graduated in 2020 with Louisa, so I have a friendly face on this panel. I finished in 2020, which, as you all know, was the very beginning of COVID. So it was a bit of a weird time to finish. We didn't have exams. We had essays to finish to complete our degree with, so that was kind of odd, but we got through it. Doesn't matter. We got the dissertations in. It was fine in the end. So we finished up in sort of April time, and then I wasn't sure what to do because COVID had just begun. There was not really jobs and stuff out there that you would normally go into once you finish. So I started looking for remote jobs like everybody else. I got one almost straight away in eBay for the American customer service line. It was not good. I lasted about 6 weeks. It was surprising how quickly your mental health can go down just because of a bad job. So I decided just to say, no, I quit. So I did, and I was immediately happier. Took a little bit of time out for myself. And then I got a market research job, which was boring, but it was perfect. It was fine. I did that for about 7 months. And then I quit that and I did a few courses, just online courses. They took about 2 months each. And then we're sort of into July 2021, and I got a job in a school in Dublin, just in the office, and I absolutely loved it. I was there like 2 years. It was amazing. The friends I made there was brilliant. The work wasn't hard. It was more like I was just really comfortable. I sort of in a family in the office, and it was really nice. But I decided to bite the bullet and quit and go back to academia because when I graduated, the plan was originally to come over here to Galway and do a master's in literature and publishing. It's the only master's in Ireland that does publishing. So you have to come over to Galway. They don't do it remotely, so I couldn't do it during COVID, and then everything got in the way. It got put on hold. Did my jobs, and then this year in January. Time's going so weird. This year in January, I decided just to apply, see where I get. It's a very small course. There was only 20 places. But I got in, so that was great. So I finished up in my job in August, and I started here in September, and I'm loving it. It's brilliant. It's just what I thought it'd be, and I'm really excited to get through the year and finish up and see what career lies ahead.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool, Laura. Thank you so much. When you were talking about the pandemic and all the kind of odd jobs, I was going, yeah, same. So yeah, it was definitely a strange time of life, definitely to graduate anyway. Thank you so much. Adam, what have you been up to since you finished in IADT?
Hi everyone. What's it called? After IADT in 2016, I honestly assumed it would be smooth sailing. Like I assumed up to that point in my life that like it would lead directly to one thing to another to another. But I got very burnt out after college and purposely didn't want to do anything with film for a while. I knew that like if I had immediately tried to jump back into it, I would have burnt out so badly that I probably would never have returned to it. So I ended up working not far from IDT, just down the Tesco bakery down the road. And then after about a year or two, trying to work on my own mental health and trying to do better, I decided to start trying to do freelancing, started trying to apply for jobs. Very few freelancing jobs, and just never seemed to have any luck in terms of getting an actual job that I could afford to live on here. There was plenty of internships that I just financially couldn't take. They were just unsustainable. So then it started getting better around 2019. Started doing quite a lot of freelance gigs, started building a portfolio, and then COVID hit and all of that went away. So then it was during 2021, me and Jack started seriously talking about, let's have more control over this. Let's actually try to put our skills together, have a company to put as a front, because I noticed that as a freelancer, was getting, I guess, taken advantage of quite a lot, where people would assume they could get away with more if you were solo. So we ended up setting up Cassette Vision, and then maybe we did 2 gigs in 2021, and then in 2022 we did pieces here and there. We're slowly building out a portfolio, and then at the end of 2022 I directed a BBC mini doc, and then from there it has finally been, I guess, more of a snowball effect. So this has been a pretty good like foundational year, so I'm very excited for 2024. But it was a long one. It was quite a long one.
That's amazing. Wow. Oh my God. I feel like I could just leave you to just chat and I'd just sit here going, this is so fascinating. You're all very interesting people. Last but very not least is Olivia. What have you been up to?
Hi everybody. So I actually just graduated last year, so my story kind of isn't as long as everyone else's so far, but I always knew that, well, I graduated from the applied psychology course at IGT, and I always knew that I wanted to do a master's straight after the course. So I'm doing the Masters of Psychological Science at the moment in UCD, and again, Dawn was really helpful with all the master's applications, because I was looking at a few different places, but then I decided that staying in Ireland and doing one in UCD was the best option for me. And I'm also working at St. John of God's, which a lot of people in IADT work in at the moment as well. And I heard of that through one of their open days, and someone came to talk to us from St. John of God's, and then a lot of the other people in my course were doing it as well. And yeah, so I'm just kind of working away at the masters at the moment, so I'm just busy. Yeah, and then I'm just going to see where that goes after.
That's great, Olivia. Thank you so much. I think although everyone came from quite different and varying roadmaps from IGT, I think one thing that stood out as I'm listening to y'all is that resilience, that you're okay speaking about that kind of feeling of maybe feeling a little bit lost after graduation, but then kind of saying, okay, what tools are available to me? Should I take some time out? And considering the environment around you, which I think is really important to hit on following an undergraduate, and kind of collecting your thoughts and going, okay, as Adam kind of touched on, how can I regain control? How can I take control and see what I'd like to do? So I really commend you all for your resilience and your focus, because you're all in such phenomenal places at the moment. And I think it's really admirable how you've navigated those roadmaps from IGT. I keep bringing the name back into it. This is very corny, but you know what I mean. So yeah, are you able to identify any key moments since finishing an IADT that have kind of stuck with you, or maybe even during your final year in IADT for yourself, Olivia, and yourself, Catherine? If there's a couple of key moments that maybe stand out from, say, the beginning of fourth year to right now that maybe stick out to you. I might go to yourself, Jack, first, if you don't mind.
Say that again. So from the end of fourth year to now.
Yeah, is there any kind of key moments that stick out to you?
I think becoming I think getting kind of hit down on my arse and really, like, I say a few of the key moments I'd say were kind of working in the mental health support group facility kind of world, because I think the big thing that Adam and I chat about all the time is that, like, if we had come out, especially with a thing like film, a thing that is about storytelling, is about trying to, like, accurately, well, in some way accurately telling the stories of others, you come out of college, like, you come out of, like, oh yeah, we're doing film, and then if you don't get, I don't know, if life doesn't hit you in a certain way and kind of teach you these lessons of, like, oh yeah, you didn't know anything about people, you absolutely knew nothing, like, back in college. Well, I guess the difference was, like, I started in IDT when I was 17, which was probably way too young for a person like me to start, but I think that was probably one of the biggest moments. And then starting a company and realizing that, like, this is, you know, you're not always going to easily get the jobs out there, and you kind of have to create your own framework for those. I think those kind of like, and it's weird that I'm saying it, that it's all of these moments were kind of like where I fell on my arse kind of thing. They weren't these, like, successful, like, whoa. They were just humbling moments where I was like, okay, you go into college and you think, I'm gonna learn everything I need and all that, but it's more just afterwards you realize that, like, oh wow, now I just need to apply these things to this really complex system. And I hope I'm not too negative there, but I think those two things were kind of huge for me, absolutely huge for me. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think it's so important to acknowledge, and kind of, Rebecca and I have talked about before how we can fail again and fail better. I think that's a Samuel Beckett quote, but yeah, it is fail is the wrong word for what you were talking about, Jack, but those kind of downtrodden or lower moments in our lives and how we can kind of build ourselves back up again are really important to acknowledge. So yeah, thank you so much. Does anyone else have any kind of key moments in their lives since leaving IDT that kind of just stick in your mind?
Oh, sorry.
No, Catherine, you go ahead. I'll say it after.
I remember, so when I was on that job, I wasn't getting paid very well to be the costume designer or whatever, because I was the designer, the supervisor, the maker, everything, right? All I needed was another 17,000 hands, but also I wasn't going to get paid to the end of it, and I wasn't on the dole, I wasn't signed on to anything, and I literally had no money for loo paper, and I was like at the bus stop going, what the is going on? I was beating myself up because I was going, this is crazy. Like, I don't even have money for fucking loo paper. And I just had to dig deeper and go, do you know what else is possible? I had to just, you just have to go right in. You have to go, okay, well, I'm just going to ask for help. So I know this is a bit sort of esoteric. I just said, God, you're going to have to help me here because I can't live like this. Okay. And so weirdly enough, I got a phone call while I was at that bus stop within like 10 minutes, and it was like, "Hi, I'm John Kelleher, and I'm a director with RT, and I got your number from Alan, and would you be interested in being a costume designer on a promo?" And I'm like, "Hell yes!" Do you know what I mean? But it was like, we've all reached probably some of the darkest times, and you just, I always just go, just keep putting one foot in front of another. You just don't give up, don't give in. And why we're all here is because there's something innate that we're here to do, and we love what we're doing, and there's a bigger thing going on. And when you go to those, really, I think that it's good that we can come out of that, because it helps us, as you said, storytelling. It's the hero's journey. We're all going through this. We've all had our everything that's happened to us. So that has always been, and even recently I had another little dip because of the ballet that I'm producing and directing. You know, I've come up with so much hurdles, and I just thought, you know what, the more hurdles I get, that means that I'm actually on the right path. The more no's I'm getting for, no, we can't put it in the Abbey, no, we can't, and I'm like, fine, no problem. A no is going to bring me to a yes. So it's like, it's shown me to just go, keep going, and surround yourself with I'm not just going to say positive, but surround yourself with a team of people who can sort of help you, nurture you. And so when that one shitty thing happens, you're like, okay, that's what else is possible? How does it get better than this? And it's like, our questions that we ask in our head is really important, because I can ask really shitty questions and get shitty answers. So I'll stop talking.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you very, very much. That's brilliant. Laura.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, it's kind of advice, I suppose, or a suggestion for people coming up through IADT and when they're going to finish, if they're not sure what to do. So obviously, I said I graduated just at the start of COVID. It's not the same for everybody now, because fingers crossed we'll never go back into lockdown or anything as serious as what we all went through. But I, for the first half of the first year, I was finishing my degree and everything, and then I took some time to relax. But when I decided to do the courses, the academic courses, one of the ones that I did was editing and proofreading with the Irish Training and Education Centre. It's actually not available anymore. They cancelled it, I think, maybe 2022 or something, I don't know, but there just wasn't enough interest. But I think doing that is the reason why I got into this master's course. And the advice, I suppose, is like, take advantage of the time that you have. If you're not sure what you're going to do, you're a little bit in between jobs, you're stuck in a job you don't like, and you kind of want to do a bit more learning or trying to figure out how to, you know, what you want to do next. Look around. I didn't know that course even existed. Have a look around. It was about €120. I think there was like 8 lessons or something, all in my own time. And I did it. It wasn't hard. It was fully remote. And the things I learned there, I think, really stood to me when I was applying for this master's, because like I said, there was only 20 places, which is quite, you know, small for a master's course, particularly because I was in Dublin. It's in Galway. It's the only one in Ireland. And like, I did well in my 4th year, like in my exam, I did well from IADT, but this kind of thing, I think, made me stand out among other people who maybe applied for it as well. So I'd say just, you know, don't be afraid of doing some more courses and stretching yourself and trying to figure out what you're going to do. We don't know what we're going to do when we leave. It's like when people say, what are you going to do after school? We have no idea. A lot of us still don't have an idea what we're going to do after college. How are we supposed to know? We're 22, 23, we're still babies. I don't even know what I'm going to do yet, but at least I'm sort of in the direction. So just take advantage of the opportunities that come your way, and, you know, don't be afraid of searching for things to do.
That's really great advice, Laura. I actually, a fun little anecdote. When I was working in my final year of college, and I was working in a coffee shop at the time, and customers would know me. I worked there a couple of years, and people used to go, "What are you going to do after college?" And I used to just make up stuff. I just make up jobs, because I got tired of going, "Oh, sure, you know yourself," you know. So everybody's probably making it up. So don't worry too much about what other people are saying, because if they're really confident, chances are they're probably lying. And so don't worry too much. But yeah, so does anyone else have any kind of key moments they'd like to maybe jump in on since finishing up IADT? Yep, Adam, what way?
Yeah, that's a call. I think it's already kind of been stated a bit by people, but I think it's a good point to reiterate. Is that, like, and actually, I think a thing that needs to be clarified, like, certain people want certain jobs that are require, obviously, going further. Like I want to, at the end of the day, be a director. Like the more logical thing for me would, if I just wanted to make money and have a career, is get an entry job in film and just work my way up the ladder and go into any area that I found interesting. And I would honestly have a more healthy work-life balance. That's said, film isn't exactly the best for that, but at the end of the day, I would be getting a paycheck. I would be, what's it called, in the area I'm interested in. But I do want to be a director, and that requires that a certain amount of work has to be done, like a portfolio has to be built out. And I think for myself, one thing that was big was just learning to kill my ego. Like I think college actually boosted it. And I think the best thing that has ever happened to me in my life is being in what I at the start was just calling a dead end job. I assumed this is a dead end job that had no value. And I actually isolated myself from a lot of the coworkers I worked with, because in my head I was like, I'm not here that long. I don't want to get invested in here. I don't want to spend too long thinking about here. I want to come in, get money, go home, do creative work. And I think the best thing that ever happened to me was getting stuck in it. I think I actually started to learn and appreciate that I'm not deserving of any particular job or any particular role. There is many people who are, what's it called, just as talented, just as creative. And at the end of the day, you just have to use what you have, and you have to just work hard, and you just have to respect that there's going to be certain roles that you're in a position like a privileged position to be in it, and you should appreciate that and respect it. So for me, I think just learning that there was going to be plenty of jobs. I'm still doing plenty of them that aren't sexy jobs. They're not building your ego, but you have to be realistic, and you have to sit down and go, if you have a long-term goal that is a hard goal, there is going to be a certain amount of work that you are not going to find glamorous to get to that glamorous perceived job. So I think honestly, going internal and being introspective and examining what type of role do you want and what are you willing to do, and respecting that at the end of the day, certain people just want a healthy work-life balance, and that should be respected more.
That's great. Thank you so much, Adam. That's brilliant advice. Laura, you've handed there.
It's only something really small because I've talked already, but just on what Adam was saying there, this sort of applies. My course that I'm doing now, the master's, is literature and publishing, and every single one of us, 2 dropped out, so there's 18 now, but every single one of us went into the course saying we're going to be editors, we're going to work in editorial work, that's what we want to do. And now it's been over 2 months, and I'd say 5 people still want to be editors, because the world has been opened up to us. We realize in publishing there's a hell of a lot more to do than just editing. I myself actually think I'm going to go in towards the production and design sort of things. So it's kind of weird once you start looking around, there's a lot more to do. So like Adam was saying, some people have set things that they want to do, they think they're going to do, they hope they're going to do, and sometimes you're going to end up completely different, and that's just as good. Everyone's going to find their place, a job that they love. There's a few crappy little jobs that we have to do in between, but we'll find our way. And I'm really excited now that I'm sort of figuring out the side of things I want to do. I'm really excited about it, and I'm 26, and that's only just starting, so don't be afraid.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Laura. And Will.
Thanks, Emil. Yeah, I think it's actually really nice being on this, because it's kind of making you think as other speakers are talking. It's really, really interesting. I think for me, when I was in college, it was all about what the world had to offer me. And everything was new. There was new people, new friends, new groups, new experiences. And one of the things, obviously, as I touched on with the whole drugs and alcohol thing, that got me into a lot of trouble. And I think a lot of that was around not really knowing what I have to offer the world. And that spiraled this whole kind of journey of self belief and backing myself. And I think that was one of the kind of key moments for me. I remember, like Catherine, I hadn't been. I had a leap card, and that was honestly it. And all my money was just gone, and it was being given to people who I should not have been hanging around with, and all the rest of it. And I honestly didn't have a single cent to my name other than the leap card. And then the leap card went, and I got myself a bike. And I remember cycling from Cabinteely into the Liberties where my job was, and I'd then cycle back home. And on my way home, I'd go to recovery meetings and all this type of stuff. And I just remember like these bleak December, freezing, wet, rainy days, not knowing what I had to offer the world or what the world had to offer me. It was just a complete blank. And I remember we'd gotten a project in which was going to be the first TV commercial that I would have produced. So while I'm trying to get sober, I'm also trying to work on this new TV commercial. And I was very, very newly sober at the time, and my head was all over the place. And I remember thinking, like, I really, really enjoy this. I'm starting to lean more into what it is exactly that I think I'd like to do with my career. And anyway, that came and went. And again, all of these bleak cycles in and out and in and out. And when you do a lot of them on your own, you have time to think, by yourself, and just your bike and the road in front of you. And I remember a couple of months later that I was told that TV commercial won an award. And I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, all of these little mini steps that I've been taking all the time have actually amounted to something that I've created, and that was a really, really key pivotal moment for me, because I spent a lot of time waiting for people to tell me what to do, because I didn't trust in myself enough that I'd be able to know what to do. And I think if I was to look back on what one of the key moments, I think that would be it, and if there's anybody considering about what the world has to offer them, I would say back yourself and genuinely believe in yourself. And I don't want to sound corny either, but it's the truth. It's genuinely the truth. It's just to back yourself in terms of what you would like to do. Don't wait for somebody to tell you what they think you should do.
Absolutely. I think that's really, really stellar advice. I think it's easy to kind of evoke that image of the clouds parting for sunshine, but I equally think that image of cycling on a really dreary morning from Cabinteely into town towards the clouds and then eventually parting, and you putting all that work in, I think that's really, really commendable and really stellar advice. Jack?
Yeah, I just want to kind of like what everybody said. I just want to kind of add the whole thing of like it is as well a don't be harsh on yourself at all when it comes to you're going to have strange interests when going out of college and going like, will I try and just do that random thing or do that, especially just in the arts world, and just actually not just in the arts world, just in any, like, take the weird projects if you can. And like, because when I like back in 2017 or so, I would just spend like all my time in my parents' workshop doing woodwork, and then from there I developed into a different sort of hobby, and now I'm like I have an entire like now on film sets and everything, like Adam and I are able to design weird things and come up with new camera rigs and all these things, all from an interest that I was like, oh, I'll just go with this. And the same thing with loads of, like, don't be harsh on yourself with going like there's going to be low times, but also just kind of go like nobody, hopefully anyway, like most of the time nobody is waiting for you to kind of like get into your career. Like there's no, because like I think the minute you start believing that, the minute you start going like, well, I'm not able to do that, I'm not allowed to do that, like, you know, sewing course or something like that. It's like, well, you might end up be like doing like a sewing course for like, you know, a mental health, you know, like sewing course thing, or like there's a load of things where I kind of go like, you know, like I might be developing a course with like a youth outreach course now for filmmaking, and I would have never thought that I would ever have the expertise for that if I hadn't done all these random things. And it's just, don't always focus on your career, I think, because like just with what everyone was saying there, I'm just like, it's not a direct path. And if you think it's going to be a direct path, and if you do get a direct path thing, I think you're going to you're going to actually forget a lot of the, you know, you're not going to learn the really, really important stuff that you're actually meant to learn. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I could honestly sit here listening to you for hours. I think peer-to-peer advice and hearing from the people that have been there, done that, and bought and made the t-shirt and then made the advertisement to sell the t-shirt and written about it in the paper is so, so important. But I might pivot it a little bit just to kind of highlight our recent grads that we're so lucky to have here on our panel. Catherine, Olivia and Scott, I know you're very recent grads from IADT. And one of the things that came up as myself and Rebecca are chatting to students, the thesis and the kind of final year big bulk of work that comes up is a kind of main challenge for students. So what would your advice be? Like, how did you handle knowing that you had this kind of big block of work kind of coming down the tracks in your final year of college? How did you manage that? Olivia, I might go to you first, if that's okay.
Yeah, so I'd say the main thing I think which helps is if you're able to choose your topic, definitely choose something that you're genuinely interested in. And it doesn't really matter if you think like it's something that you don't want to pursue in the future or something, or if like don't choose something just because you think it will be like a good move for your CV. Like I think you should choose it because you genuinely enjoy doing it, because then all the work and time you spend working on it is going to be enjoyable, which makes a big difference. And then I'd also say to kind of like make the most of any meetings you have with your supervisor and ask loads of questions and get advice from different lecturers if you need to, and kind of like avail of all the supports that are out there in IADT. And I was in a good position that I didn't have to work that much during final year. And I know a lot of people can't do that, but that was definitely something that made a really big difference when I was doing my thesis, because I felt like I was able to have more balance with working on it a lot, but then also having time to like rest as well, which was great. Yeah, I think those are kind of the main points. And then just trying to like keep to deadlines or keep to the plan, but also know that sometimes things don't go to plan, and that's okay. Like don't panic or get like too caught up in that. Just you can always adapt things and change things, and it kind of does all work out in the end, you know. So no, there's a cliches here today, but
I know guys are loving it. I love the cliches.
I think like one of the big things is kind of being compassionate towards yourself and not being too hard on yourself, because that can kind of become, you can spend a lot of time feeling hard on yourself, but you can save a lot of time by just kind of being like, do you know what, it's okay. If I didn't get to that today, I'll do it tomorrow, and take a rest when you need to take a rest as well.
100%. That's really, really stellar advice, Olivia. Thank you. And I think that could even be taken from fourth year and beyond. I think that's really, really important. And I really like the overarching theme that we have here this evening, folks, inadvertently, which is just really be nice to yourself and give yourself a little break when you need it. But Scott, how did you kind of manage the big workload in fourth year and that kind of final project?
That was when I first kind of looked at my thesis, or it was the capstone project, what we referred it to. So in creative computing, you've got two tasks at hand. You've got to make make a project. You've got to develop something new, something unheard of, and something useful. But you've also got to write a report or a thesis on the back of it. And that can be quite overwhelming, thinking, oh, I have to get my project working, but then I still have to document exactly what you had done. Majority of the time when I was working through the project, I was there like just focused on getting the end project done. And that was mainly more so in third year, where I was focused on the project, and then I left the thesis till the end. And then when I got into final year, I kind of said, no, I can't do it that way anymore. So what I did to tackle that and to get past that, and something that I actually moved forward with into my career, is maintaining a mentality of, if you get a task to kind of tackle, you need to break it down into smaller little pieces. So instead of one big task, I'm breaking it down into 5-6 different problems. And then you could have a couple of problems that arise within those problems. But when you tick one thing after another off the list, it slowly starts to build up and become one whole thing. And when it came to writing the thesis, like, you just write the truth and write what's in your mind. Don't go looking up onto ChatGPT and saying, write me a thesis in 20 seconds, because that just doesn't get you anywhere. Like, you need to put the work in, you need to set the time across. And one of the biggest things that you need to do, like, you need to break your thesis down into those parts, but you also need to break your time down into those parts as well. And breaking your time down is really, really important, but also it's key for your mental health. And fourth year, I used as a reason to change the way I was acting and the way I was working, because in years coming up to that, I got projects and I'd be working, I was always last minute getting everything done. And so I would work away at something from 11 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, and then I would be collapsed the next day, and had the mentality of start at 9 o'clock, finish at 5 o'clock. Every single day you have a solid cut-off time. And genuinely, that mental break that you gave yourself gave me a leap and a bound on the next day. So break things down into different little small parts, but also give yourself a chance to breathe. That would be my kind of thing that I would suggest.
Folks, like you met beforehand and just tailored this. You're all wrapping up each of these points really nicely. That was brilliant. Thank you. Olivia.
Yeah, just when Scott was saying about like having a certain time where you just cut off, like you don't work past, I definitely find that really helpful as well. And that's something that I started doing when I was in final year. And I always found, like, if I was working up too late at night, I couldn't go to sleep, because then I was too like worked up thinking about like all my college work. So I also had just like a cutoff point where I wasn't going to do anything after that point. And when you're there, like thinking that you'll like, oh, I'll just finish this one thing, or I'll just finish this, it just keeps going. So I think it's good to have those kind of rules in your head that you follow, because you do need time to just rest, and then you can wake up the next day and then you feel better and you have more energy to do everything for the next day. So I just thought I had the same experience and I would mention it as well.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Olivia. And I'll give the last point to Jack, and then I've got one more question to kind of wrap this up, because time is absolutely flowing. I could sit here all evening with you. But Jack, please.
Just one practical thing for anybody. So I'm extremely dyslexic, and when it comes to, and as well, if you're going through any, like, first and foremost, just look for any services you can with IDT. And I know they've even gotten way better now since I was there. But the other thing as well is that, like, if it gets too much at all with any of the projects and mixing that with the thesis, you can, like, nobody tells you this, and I don't know if this is like illegal for me to say, but like, you can go to your lecturers and go to the faculty and go, hey, can I break this up over the next year? Can I try and do this? Because I think most people would rather, like, most lecturers and most people would rather you go to them and say, hey, I am going through these things in my life and I can only take on one thing, like, be it the thesis or, like, for us, the final year film or something like that. And if you don't break it up, for some people, or take a year and then come back to study again, like, don't, I know people want to just get it all done, but genuinely, like, that is a thing that is available there for most people, and I think people should avail of that if they need it at all, because I didn't, and it made my mental health journey so much harder with it all. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that contacting the supports in IDT and your kind of internal supports and the people around you is really, really important. And absolutely let your lecturers know, let the people around you know. The student experience centre and the student learning centre is over in the Carrigley, just for students watching today and in the future. Hello in the future. And our lovely Don O'Connor is on the second floor of the library as well, and they're all there to make your experience valuable, because your time is valuable. And yeah, I think that's really stellar advice. So for kind of our closing words, in 1 or 2 sentences, what's next for you? I'm going to start with you, Laura, because you're top left. No pressure.
Finish my master's and get a job that I love in publishing.
Brilliant. Adam?
Honestly, I feel like 2023 for myself, Jack, and I also do videos with Will a lot, has been a building year. And the one thing I've really taken away from it, and the thing I think that has really helped me mentally as well, is obviously I want to do well, but my focus has actually been more on trying to help others. So, like, we have a friend called Derek. He had quit a job that he did not like, and he was a very talented musician and knew audio like the back of his hand. He did a course in it, and I was like, come along to this like event, see if you like sound. And 6 months later now, he has been making music for us, like, on nearly every project. He's our main sound recordist. He's a sound designer. He's getting hired onto 2 features at the start of the year. I think for myself, I'm enjoying focusing on trying to obviously expand the business, but helping others, I think, is a better mindset for business.
Absolutely. That's brilliant. Thank you, Adam. Catherine, what's next?
I'm going to continue with I enjoy like what I do is I like gathering different creatives who are in their field, and I have so many ideas what I want to still create and direct in relation to the ballet and the film and the documentary in relation to what I'm working on. So I'm going to continue on that. I'd say probably, like, I also, this is another thing actually to do with the thesis, and it ties in, is always do something that you enjoy. I just knew that when I was going to be doing the Harry Clark stuff to do with the ballet, I could do that for another 20 years, 30 years. Do you know what I mean? So choose something that you enjoy. Money follows joy. You know, that we're here to actually enjoy things, and I just think when we're happy, it helps the planet. And so I always want to be working on creative work, and also find ways that all the artists get paid really well. And that's something that I'm so that's only, and I'm just so grateful for the windy journey. And can I just say one other thing? So a plane never flies directly to its destination, and I think just enjoy the journey as you go. I mean, I've had such a very varied career, from being a DJ, a dental nurse, so enjoy your moments as you go, like as much as possible, like even this moment now. Do you know what I mean? So don't ever judge yourself or judge, because judgment kills creativity. And I think these things are, anyway, I'll say that's it. So I'll continue to be doing the stuff that I'm doing. Yeah.
That's exceptional, really exceptional, folks. I could stay here all evening. Olivia, what's next?
Well, I'm going to finish my master's as well, and then try and get more experience in the field of psychology. And then if I'm able to go on to do a doctorate in psychology, I will as well in the future. But I'll just have to wait and see how things go. So, but I'm really enjoying the master's at the moment.
Brilliant, that's so exciting. Will, what's next?
Yeah, I think look, just keep expanding with Seven Yellow. Things are getting quite exciting at the moment. I have a feature documentary coming out in next year, and I think, you know, I've definitely been hurt a lot in business, and bringing back my my own mantra, which is I should probably listen to myself a little bit more around backing myself, and just taking that on now, and just kind of plowing forward, and taking all of the things that I've learned and being battered by at the same time, and taking that in my stride, and kind of using that as armor, I suppose, going forward. And I suppose that, and somehow managing to convince brands to be more human in their storytelling. That would probably be my the future for me. Yeah, thank you.
That's amazing. That's so exciting. Scott, what's next for you?
So, as I said, like at the moment I'm based in Germany, so I'm actually in Ireland at the moment, just visiting. But working fully remote with Beatfest, it's a kind of the dream role I had. I always wanted to roll out of bed and hop on the computer the next day, and it's super chill vibe. But my role currently as a DevOps engineer and software engineer, like they have sites for me to expand into that role and take full ownership of the infrastructure of the app, building all the databases and all that boring stuff in the background. That's what I'm currently working on and implementing from the ground up. And that's what they have sites for me to take over in the coming months and years. So it's a super exciting thing, super amount of responsibility that's been given on to a recent graduate for their first job, and it's super to see that one person did take a chance, so, and that chance kind of let me completely take over a back end of an app. So that's where I'm going to be at for the next while.
That's brilliant. That's really exciting stuff. And last but not least, Jack, what's next for you? I think you're muted there, sorry.
First thing is I'm gonna unmute myself. But yeah, no, Adam and I are just we're gonna just keep growing the company, and I think our main kind of step forward now is to try and kind of keep the commercial side going at the exact same time as trying to actually our main goal going forward is to try and bring genre film and try and bring like fun art to Ireland in true film, which there isn't enough of. And I think like overthrow Screen Ireland and the Arts Council and burn down the doll or something. No. But something, like give like being young people in Ireland. I don't want to move out of Ireland. I want to try and actually make the arts here something worth it, because Ireland has so many talented people, which I hope if any students here are really talented, do get in touch with Adam and myself. If you're creative people or not or whatever, or if you have any questions, just do reach out. But yeah, that's kind of the next thing, is just kind of make Ireland a better place for film, for independent film. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Folks, I'm so sorry that we have to finish this discussion because I could honestly talk to you all day. I can't thank you enough. I think your insight has been really, really invaluable. And I think students are so lucky to have such knowledgeable and honest alumni to kind of guide them on these roadways from IADT. But yeah, if I was a millionaire, I'd hire you all in the morning, but I'll let you know when that happens. But yeah, thank you all so much. And I can't wait to see what you get up to in the future. So goodbye for now.
Thanks.
Thank you, Louisa.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.